Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Telling Tales. Here we tell atmospheric stories together through the medium of tabletop role-playing games. It is, I almost said Thursday evening. It's not Thursday evening. Things are going wrong. It's Monday evening, which means that we are playing Masks of Nyarlathotep with 7th edition Call of Cthulhu. Lots of things are happening in game, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So below the stream are links to our social media, our Discord, which you can join and come and chat with us and other people who are involved in the channel. Our Patreon, where if you enjoy what we do, you can support us, and also our YouTube if you're watching this on Twitch, or Twitch if you're watching on YouTube. Other things on the channel, Simba Room on Wednesday nights, on bi-weekly, is that the word? I can never remember whether that's 2 a week or 1 every 2 weeks. 1 every 2 weeks, not on this week, so is on next week. So the 26th and then the 12th of March and so on. And also the Yellow King on roughly every other Thursday. So the next one is the 6th of March. And we tentatively have a one-shot in for March as well on a weekend day, which is penciled in, but yet to be announced properly. If you join us on the Discord, you can stay up to date with all of those things and when they are definitely going ahead. Cool. Let's start bringing people on screen. Let's bring, actually I'll do a quick recap. So we are in the New York portion of this story for people who know it. We did the Peru sort of intro story. So the group made friends with Jackson Elias, who has now sadly departed this world in what looks like some kind of ritualistic murder. And the investigators are now beginning their path to investigate what may be going on here, and also with what Jackson was looking into, which was the Carlisle expedition, which was reported completely destroyed, and he believed otherwise. So let's bring on Steve first, who plays Edwin Price. Hey, Steve.
Hi, Johnny.
How's Edwin doing? What's Edwin thinking?
He's probably getting that sinking feeling. It's not the greatest, because he was looking forward to coming to New York and having a catch up with Jackson Elias, and it's immediately, the trip has immediately gone off the rails somewhat, owing to his unexpected murder. So yes, not sure how much he slept last night. Probably kept checking the door was locked and that nobody was trying to climb up the wall outside. We'll just have to see how things go, I guess. I'm sure it won't balloon into anything ridiculously, globe-trotting, and
be fine.
Leave it to the police. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Be all right. Great, thank you. Let's bring on half of the Farwell, Sam, who plays Mrs. Winifred Farwell. Hey, Sam.
Which half is it going to be? Hello.
How's Mrs. Farwell doing? What's she thinking, etc.?
I mean, I think it's safe to say disturbed. A friend of ours was murdered, which is never a particularly good sign. Very curious, because I think she was probably the one who got the best view and tried to actually hunt these people who presumably, we assume, murdered Jackson Elias. And she doesn't really know what to make of the whole red, maybe, scarves. I mean, what were they called? Like blood tongues, blood eaters, something like that. I can't remember what it was now. But yeah,
Cult of the Bloody Tongue. Yeah.
Bloody tongue, yeah, that's going round and round in her head now. I think related to that. I don't know if she said that to the rest of the group, but it's definitely flying around. Also, a lot of just information to take in from last session from all of the notes. I think because Winifred obviously actually read through them in more detail as well, or at least glanced through them. So I feel like she's probably got a lot to absorb. So she definitely didn't sleep last night and was up all night thinking and maybe scribbling things down and just scruffing them out and then scribbling something else down. Yeah, you can imagine.
Cool, thank you. Let's bring on Justin, who plays Wilfred Farwell. Hey, Justin.
Hello.
How's Wilfred?
I think also didn't sleep very well. Not as worried going through all these notes, but if the lights on in the room and someone's up and like going through it's going to disturb your sleep. So there was that. Also, my friend got murdered. Like those things together, really a bad combination for getting a recuperating, restful night. Yeah, so not good overall.
At like 3 a.m, I'm like, it's all my fault, is it? You're not sleeping.
Like, I think I can take the fifth in this country. I think that's but yeah, no, not great. But I think really, I feel that after what happened in South America with the old, fat vampire thing, this doesn't seem like the run of the mill, murder. And as much as I would like to believe that really this is all down to like some over enthusiastic religious larpers, not the term that Wilfred would use, but weirdos, it does seem to be quite culty. And I've recently found out that there's a reason to believe that some of those things are less ridiculous than they first appear.
Cool, thank you. And our final player for this evening, John, who plays Merritt Barton. Hey, John. How is Merritt?
Merritt is a little bit at sea and sort of slightly questioning whether he may be up for the task ahead of him. Yeah. This may end up being quite a geographically far-reaching investigation, and Merritt is suddenly feeling very inadequate at his language skills, and also not at all equipped to deal with investigating a murder of his friend. But we do not choose the tasks that are put upon us. We choose how we rise to them. That is Merritt's thinking.
I like how you're feeling somewhat inadequate with Merritt's language skills and the rest of the group. Can anybody speak any other language?
Yeah, but no one's going to ask the rest of the group for their language.
Oh, this is true.
skills.
This is true, because we're all relying on you.
Yeah.
We each have our own thing. Merritt's the language person. Merritt,
Yeah.
we're in China. What's your language now? Come on, do the language. Merritt, we're in deepest, darkest
Do
Africa.
the language.
What's your language? Do the language.
Oh, God. Let's even talk about how we narrow down which specific language we're speaking in which part of China. But that's fine, because everyone else is sorted. Because, like, Edwin knows all about local Chinese legal procedures, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't be ridiculous.
Might have a hobby.
Okay, so last time you met up with Jonah Kensington, the owner of Prospero House, which was Elias's publisher. And you had sort of ended the night and got some food and gone to bed. You have an uneventful night. So yeah, you wake up on Friday. And yeah, I don't know if you plan to convene in the morning for breakfast and what you may have also done in the meantime.
Did anyone get any sleep?
Probably took a while. So Edwin will probably be up fairly early, looking somewhat rough. Bags under the eyes. But we'll head to... Does this place have some sort of coffee providing breakfasty?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Well, Edwin will be he'll go by the reception and ask if there have been any messages, and then head to a largish table in the breakfast area and start drinking coffee and eating a light breakfast of some description, probably eggs.
Does this hotel have a concierge?
There's the receptionist. You can ask them for things.
We're not staying here again, Winnie. I at some point during the breakfast will ask them if they know a way to Lantern Street, which was the we received a hotel matchbook or some kind of restaurant something matchbook with 10 Lantern Street on it, and I wondered that's a clue we could look up. Yeah, and I don't know if Lantern Street's an address in this city or a different city, but yeah.
They do not know a Lantern Street.
Right.
Doesn't sound much like New York to me.
Well, it doesn't, it's called Lantern Street, so it's got to be somewhere English speaking. I mean, I could be wrong.
I would really rather. It's been driving me mad all night, actually. I need to find out whatever we're missing from past news events or such, because clearly this isn't the first time this police officer has seen something like this, and these sorts of things don't go unreported. So I would really like to will it be the library again? I suppose the library for an archive of papers. Yes, I would like to go there first, I think.
I'd have certainly been reading over today's papers over breakfast. But yes, sounds like going to the library and checking records would be a good thing.
Could you give me a library use roll, please, Steve, for your papers in the morning?
Certainly. My skill is 40. I roll an 89. I'm obviously just stuck reading the sports pages or something.
Okay.
Oh dear.
There must be something in the baseball results. There must be.
How fast is post in this period of time? It's still going by boat,
Yes.
isn't it?
For
In that case, I will send a telegram home to Dominic, basically asking him to dig out my black book of other translators, because the chance for me learning Shanghaiese in the next however long we have is incredibly slim, and it's far more practical for me to find a reliable translator for us to hire on. So if he could just get that prepared for any contacts we may need. Yeah.
Cool. Steve, you do see in the paper an announcement of Jackson's funeral, which is to be held tomorrow at the Cypress Hills Cemetery at 2 p.m. in Brooklyn.
Okay.
We haven't, in passing, encountered anyone else who knows Jackson Elias since previous events, have we, Johnny? Like other friends, or we don't know if he has any family particularly. We might not.
No, I think the only people really that you know are each other and Jonah Kensington.
No, that makes sense. He was quite a private person, I suppose. So,
Wait, so was the funeral? When was the funeral? Today?
Tomorrow. 2 p.m.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit soon.
I think, according to handout, we in fact know that he has no living relatives.
I see.
Yeah, from the yes, what we know about Jackson Elias. And
Oh. Oh, yes. One of the things I will do overnight might also be to write a letter to Professor Sanchez. And I can't remember her name, but the nice lady who gave us fake bacon.
The nice lady who gave you. Oh, Naira?
Yes.
sounds like it. Yes,
I'm
yes,
pretty sure.
Or more accurately, write to Professor Sanchez to contact Nero.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. It was Naira.
I think Mrs. Farwell will probably be very keen to get to the library very quickly that morning. So we'll probably nudge anyone who wants to come with out the door post haste.
Yeah, and I'm also not going anywhere anymore without my bag. That was a mistake.
Just clinking along everywhere now.
I mean, I'm used to it. This is why.
At least it doesn't contain gold bars anymore.
No, it's just a gun. Like,
Mhm. Usually
Okay,
I
are you all planning on going to the library?
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
I think at some point I might have talked about how I'd rather if we stuck together actually as well. But it sounds like that is broadly agreed upon.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're looking for old news to relate to similar things that have to what's happened to Jackson.
Yeah, I think I was the person who said it first, so I'll describe what I'm looking for. I think I'm looking for stuff in the past 5 years, possibly, probably not longer than that. That relate like similar sorts of murders. Certainly anything that might relate, like might look culty, and might relate to any of the people we know about from the Egypt investigation as well. But I'm more looking for culty stuff than I am them, to be fair. Someone else might look for them, I don't know.
I think, yeah, I want to look into those different clues that we've got. So, particularly things like the Penhue Foundation, what they're about, and just like any kind of correlations I can get between like things that we found, things that are occurring in these things I've got, and what I can find in the library. I know
Okay.
the Penhue Foundation is in London, but they might have some news story somewhere or something.
I don't know whether this is covered under Sam's stuff. Happy to double up on, on the going through the newspapers if we need to. But I was thinking if going through if there's a section on religious cults and so on, try to find information directly about the cult of the bloody tongue, see if it's mentioned anywhere.
Okay. And John, did you have any specifics?
I am going to look through probably first a directory of New York, and then if I can find it, a directory of London, to either look for Lantern Street or look for Chinese bars or Stumbling Tiger Bar.
Okay, let's go through in order. So Sam, everyone can make me the library use rolls in preparation.
Brilliant. So that is a hard success.
Okay. So you basically sort of you kind of make your way the hard way through these articles. So you end up finding the oldest one first, and you kind of make a note, and you think that that's probably that could be it from the description, and then you end up working your way forwards to actually an article from this morning's paper, which if you were to tell Edwin, he would realize that he had missed in this morning's paper. So yeah, this is obviously about Jackson. So Arthur Jackson, by Rebecca Schosenberg. Arthur Jackson Elias has been found murdered in his Chelsea hotel room. The killers are reported to have used long knives to butcher their victim. Lieutenant Martin Poole of the murder squad stated that he is exploring possible connections between this murder and similar slayings in Harlem last year. Local resident Hilton Adams was convicted of the Harlem murders in October last year and is awaiting execution in Sing Sing. Lieutenant Poole offered no opinion whether this new murder indicates that Adams had accomplices or is innocent of the earlier crimes.
So I guess that's why he was so surprised, because, well, actually, I don't know who shared this was, but
Yeah, that's okay. I could be having a conversation about this. Yeah, so it seems they thought they had caught the culprit and presumably have him in custody. So it seems like a collection of events before this point. So, Jonny, did I find out how many murders there were, and was it like a period of time and then nothing since then? And how long ago?
1 second. I think I've got a feeling it was 8, but let me double check that.
Yeah.
Yes, 8 murders.
Okay. And they were a little while ago, and then there's been a bit of a gap since then.
Yeah, they were all last year.
Okay.
And then Hilton Adams was arrested in October, I believe.
And they were all like close together, and then he was captured, and they thought he was done. Why are they linked to this? Is it like a similar sort of murder?
Yeah, so similar descriptions of the sort of carvings.
Okay.
And you know, as much as it doesn't go into huge amounts of details of the state of the body in the newspapers, clearly there's been something to make this this reporter kind of link them together as well.
And one last question: are there any of the original reports by the same author or the same reporter? Rosenberg?
Rebecca Schosenberg. Yeah, she has written something on the last 4 and this one. So before that, perhaps before it was considered like a string, they had different people report on it, but then it seems to be her since then.
Okay. Yeah, I will. Yeah. Yes, this lady definitely seems like someone to go and talk to. No doubt about that. And gosh, it would be very helpful, if rather unpleasant, to see a photograph, if there are any. There must have been some taken by the officers and such of the previous murders to confirm for ourselves if it really does seem like the same sort of thing. I doubt the police will give us anything, but perhaps she might have access to something.
perhaps.
Okay, I think it was Steve that we discussed next.
I think I was third. So
I don't mind going
Justin.
next. I don't mind this first.
Yep. How did you roll?
I rolled bang on the score again, which is 30. So I pass on my check for some mention of what the Penhew Foundation is.
Okay. So you get their address.
That's good.
their registered address, headquarters address, and you find out that their establishment date is 1890 by Sir Aubrey Penhew. There were some expeditions to Egypt that they did.
Okay.
You obviously know that Sir Aubrey was a leading figure in the Carlisle expedition. And you also find sort of paper trails of grants that they give to academics for sort of Egyptology research.
Okay. So they're kind of Egyptologists.
Certainly
Sounds-
seems that way.
That makes some sense.
Until they went to Kenya.
Well, antiquarians then. Egypt is
No, but my point is that actually, if you read those things, you would be like, maybe is this a bit weird?
yeah.
No,
I get that. No, okay, well that's good. That's something. That's what I got. And it doesn't happen to list in a New York office, does it? Or
it does not, I'm afraid.
Okay.
Steve, you were looking for Cult of the Bloody Tongue in...
Yes. And I rolled 19 under 40, so that would be a hard success.
Okay.
Paging through book intensifies.
Let's go to John first, actually. What were you looking for, John? And I know that you've just succeeded, having spent some luck.
Yes. I've failed 3 library use attempts in a row. I was looking for the Stumbling Tiger Bar. By way of finding Lantern Street, or by way of looking at Chinese establishments in either New York or London, which is an assumption, but I have to narrow it down somewhere.
Okay, since you succeeded, I'm going to tell you that in a reasonably short space of time, you find no mention in either of those places.
Okay.
So you choose 2 more places.
Shanghai, maybe. We assumed it was not there, but it could be in there.
Yes, there is a Lantern Street in Shanghai.
Aha. Okay. That does make sense then.
It was just too cliche. We avoided it, didn't we?
The hubris of Farwell saying it wouldn't be. It would be.
I mean, who'd have thought of having like a Shanghai pub in Shanghai? Like it's predictable.
Okay. Da-da.
I think this
I'm
means you
just
skipped
looking
right
at-
to the end of the campaign, Steve.
It was old Mr. Smithers wearing a rubber mask and pretending to be. I don't aim to ask difficult questions. I would like to, make that clear. I'm not trying to
No.
What did you ask, Steve? We need to like dissect it one by one to figure out which part of it has broken this whole campaign open.
I just wanted to know whether Cult of the Bloody Tongue was listed in the cults section of the.
It's challenging because it would be really it seems very unexpected to ask about that right at this very point.
I mean, I could understand if there wasn't a book there because Jackson was presumably writing it, but.
I'm going to say that you don't find anything, but perhaps we can save your success for another time.
Sure.
It's just interesting.
Okay, is there anything else that anybody wants to look up while they're here, or are you reasonably happy with your discoveries?
I mean, happy is one way of looking at it. Yeah, I don't know.
So we've found details on potentially linked murders.
Yep.
So we have a route to follow there.
And the person who has been arrested and is awaiting execution for them, who goes by the name Hilton Adams.
Where is Sing Sing? Do we know? I'd like to look that up. I mean, like, as in, is it in New York or is it like some? I would assume my guess would be that it would be. I'm just stalling here. Is that
it is in New York?
I know it's famous, but beyond that.
And so I think we could go visit and see if we are able to talk to the prisoner. That could be an option. I don't know if that, does he claim he's innocent, or is he like a insane cultist that is smearing the cell walls with his own blood? Like that gives us two different directions to go in with this line of inquiry.
I think either way we should talk to the reporter first, because that will help us identify before we go to the prison and make
I'm just worried that this guy could be executed any day, I suppose. And in some ways,
reporter now.
Step one: is he still in prison? Has he escaped? Presumably not.
Presumably not. I mean, maybe.
I mean, bear in mind there were 3 people involved in this murder.
Yes.
So he definitely had accomplices if he was anything to do with it.
Yeah, so none of the, it's worth mentioning on that note, none of the other articles sort of say that anybody was seen at the scene. So there's no reporting of whether there were multiples or a single person.
Can I do what may be a long shot library use check to see if I can find anything about Warren Bassard? Mostly looking for an address.
I'm suspicious that he might be a figure from either Egypt or Shanghai or something.
Well, his letter is addressed from Cairo. There's no further address on it. But I mean, I don't know if he's there as like a cultural attaché or something official, or if he is a New Yorker who may have had a footprint here because he contacted Carlisle, so maybe they had.
Is there like a Cairo who's who? Is there some sort of, a
Cairo phone book?
Important people in Cairo?
Or even like if there are any papers from Cairo.
Yeah.
Give us a go, John.
12, which is an extreme success.
Okay.
Now Jonny has to think of something you could plausibly found in this library in New York about this guy in Cairo.
I mean, well, yes. Again, not everything is.
Yeah,
is-
I understand that using library use in the 1920s is not the same as just Googling something in the modern day, but like, I don't know, it's possible. He sounds like he could potentially be an important
it's
person.
worth a try.
Mhm.
I'd rather look and not find anything than not look and miss something.
I mean, we're probably
course.
not looking for all of the really simple things. We're just looking for the really obscure edge case things that were, meanwhile, the criminals running around behind us. Probably.
Okay, I'm gonna. So you get a. Can you make me a languages roll, please?
This whole role was custom made for Barton.
Would the languages roll just be my English roll? I think that's what we did last time.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Hard success. 40
Okay,
under
this is great.
85.
Okay, so as you are looking for this person, your knowledge of people from different countries, etc., you think that this is you think Warren Bassart is a French name. And you have a realization that if he is or was in Cairo, then perhaps the French embassy in Cairo would be the place to contact for information on him. And you get their details. You can just, yeah.
Excellent. I will put that away for this evening. Because I'm thinking if we can get in contact with this gentleman, then we may, in a somewhat veiled and guarded way, allude to whatever he was talking about, singular curious, and try and find more information out of him, or at least get a correspondence for if we go to Egypt, when we go to Egypt.
Are you proposing we send a letter or a telegram before going in person?
Yes.
Think carefully about how to write it to draw attention without, well, drawing too much attention. Do we want to go to this publishing house then, where this lovely lady works, presumably?
New York Times offices it'd be.
Fancy. Yes.
We'll say you're midday to early afternoon at this point, because that will have taken you some time between you two. Look through all of that stuff.
Perhaps on the way we can talk or discuss what is our aim in all of this? What are we intending to do to make sure Jackson's killers come to justice, or what?
Well, I mean, if it probably isn't, but if Jackson was involved in the same kind of thing he was involved in last time, and he probably wasn't, because that was really a one-off, then you just would want to check, wouldn't you, just to make sure that this isn't one of those things, because if it was one of those things, that would be bad.
Well, in my personal opinion, and I'm sure you'll take this however you decide to take it, but Jackson was a very together man. He seemed to have a clear perspective on the world and was not one to be carried away with. This is not a reflection of you, husband. And so the fact that his writings from his own hand were so evidently disturbed towards, well, the end of his life, sadly, suggests to me that whatever he was investigating was very much a real thing. And this cult of the bloody tongue, well, I haven't said it since last night, but did it occur to you that strange coincidence connecting the red ribbons or scarves that I saw on those men that murdered him and the name of the cult? Well, I'm certain that they must exist in some capacity, and I'm personally inclined to believe much, if not all, of what he wrote about, well, this, whatever they were doing on that hill, or trying to do in Africa.
Well, if that is the case, then what do we do? I mean, Jackson was trying to write a book. Jackson, that's what he tended to do. Other than, I think, our experiences in Peru, he got rather closer to things than perhaps he would have liked. But I think I worry that he had rather more knowledge of this world than we do. I'd hate for us to stumble into something that was larger than anything we could cope with.
I think you're doing yourself a disservice, Mr. Price. We should not undersell what we accomplished in Peru. Well, do you see the authorities investigating this seriously? Are they going to investigate the cult of the bloody tongue? Are they going to find out what sort of rituals they might be trying to perform and who they're silencing as a result of that all over the world? I doubt it somehow. I don't feel right sitting with that knowledge and, well, not pursuing it in some form, especially given Mr. Elias died for it.
It seems to me that the New York authorities have already had a chance to investigate these killings, if Jackson's death is related to the former murders. And it looks like they've happily pinned it on someone who couldn't have possibly done the most recent one.
That is concerning. If this bloody tongue cult is active in New York, then at least we can make the authorities aware that that's something we can do. Well, yes, I suppose we should take it one step at a time and see where things go. But yes, Mrs. Farwell, the Jackson's writings were that scrawled note was particularly disturbing. Thinking back to when I had that period in the tomb, there are dangerous forces at play.
No
we should
doubt.
be careful.
I don't think myself or my husband are the types to shy away just because things are dangerous, and I fear such things falling into the hands of those who may not possess the same convictions as we do.
I mean, convictions is a strong word. I just want to look into a few things before we go home. We're going to go home. But the thing is, though, if it isn't simple, if it isn't just easily explainable, then if it's anything like it was in South America, then I don't think that there equipped to deal with it. No one's equipped to deal with it, but I don't think we're equipped to deal with it. But that doesn't mean, we should look. We should just check. Then I can sleep easy when I go home.
Precisely.
I suppose.
But more to the point, we probably do need a plan immediately as to how we're going to approach the New York Times offices for an appointment. Are we just going to present ourselves as friends of the deceased or something else?
I suppose we could say we're attempting to carry on Jackson's research. He was looking into this cult, so
It's true, and that should pique our interest. And it's true, I suppose, as well.
we were with Jackson during the events in Peru. We do have. We can refer to our background in that capacity, I guess. I'm sure we can hint at stories that would pique their interest if it came to that.
This is assuming that there has been any connection made to cults so far. I don't know if that's true.
Of course, this does mean Mr. Hobbs will have to give up reporters' exclusivity rights to the story.
Well, perhaps it won't come to that. Perhaps we don't need to offer everything up front.
I rolled really highly for Ted, so he's not happy about that idea. Probably more sulky than like angry, I think.
Speak up, Ted.
You could try for partial writing credit, perhaps a collaboration. Freelancing
Presumably,
contract.
there's some interpersonal stat for two journalists, battling over writing credits.
And Mr. Hobbs, you should consider the prospect of longer form writing, perhaps, especially now. Sadly, Mr. Elias won't be finishing his book.
Mm.
It's okay, we're not forcing you to roleplay the character, John. Moving on.
I just end up doing a bad impression of Jack's voice, which is not something that needs to be.
I disagree. I think that's exactly what needs to happen.
To save Johnny this awkwardness, to the New York Times.
Yes.
I like how we're either forcing Johnny to look up obscure facts about the world or roleplay absent players.
I mean, isn't that the game?
Seemingly.
Yeah, no one said we'd be an easy group to keep.
I mean, it's not like New York's a big city. I mean, there's got to be only like a few NPCs that Johnny's even got to prepare.
Yeah.
So you go to the New York Times. There is a reception desk. Are you? What's your plan?
I might nudge Wilfred if no one else goes up.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I go over. Wilfred will go over to the receptionist and attempt to be charming, and say that there is a story in that me and my friends were the witness to a murder last night, and we want to talk to this reporter.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Miss Schosenberg is just down the hall there on the left.
Right,
She directs you. No, left, sir.
left. And then I'll walk off in that direction.
Walks off. Sorry, the wrong direction. Confidently.
I assume others will follow, but
So yeah, there is there are sort of signs on the doors that there's like a foreign correspondence sport, and it's the crime sort of office that you go into, and everybody has the little nameplates on their desk, and you see R. Schosenberg, a very neat and orderly desk, and she is sitting there scrawling some notes on a pad of paper as you walk in.
Can I do like does she have like, say, any books or things on her desk that indicate that she has an interest in the occult? Like anything that would make me go like, that? Maybe
No.
she's just
No.
not. Cool. Well, small desk you've got here. They shove you into all the other reporters, then, do they?
She looks around at everybody and says, "I'm sorry. Can I help?"
It's just where I'm from. Crime is a really big part of newspapers.
Excuse me. I'm sorry, Mrs. Schosenberg, was it? Yes, we thought you might like to talk to us, and we would like to talk to you. We witnessed the murder of poor Jackson Elias last night.
Oh my goodness. She kind of looks around, see if anybody else is listening.
Is there somewhere more private we can go?
Yes, let's take a meeting room, and leads you to a meeting room.
Cool.
And says, please a seat. Would anybody like a coffee?
No.
Water? Anything?
Yeah. Love
I've
coffee.
developed a taste for it since I came to these parts.
She kind of opens the door and leans out and says, "Coffee's in here, please." And closes the door.
Wow.
So, is this? Do you want me to write a story? I'm not sure still exactly why you're.
Do we have
here.
like a clipping or anything of the old story that she wrote?
You could have made a note of it, like
Yeah, I will have made notes. I think I rolled an extreme success on it, so I probably got good notes on, maybe a hard success, but I got good notes on what her old stories were. So I'll probably pull them out when she says that and go, well, yes, he was a friend of ours, and we have investigated strange goings on in the past. So I suppose we were curious about how this might connect with the other stories you've written about, the other murders, and I'll show her. You may obviously write a story about this or not, it's up to you, but sharing information and all that.
Sure, if you're happy to one of you to give me a quote about Mr. Elias for a follow-up piece, then I'm happy to talk to you about the previous cases.
What would you like us to say? That he was...
Well, whatever you would say about him. All news is good news.
I think I might look at the rest of the group to gauge, like, well,
Yeah. I mean, like, Wolf of Val's got things he wants to say. Like,
I think I somewhat trust this lady, probably as much as I trust the police, and I told her, and so I will say to her, well, first of all, you might be interested to hear that I saw 3 men fleeing the scene. At least I assume they were men.
3 men. She's writing on a little notepad.
Yes, I couldn't really make them out otherwise, though.
Is it?
Taking down the fire escape.
Is there a way that we could write this that maybe it was someone else? We're very identifiable to the police, having been in the room, and if it looked like maybe it wouldn't, they might feel like we were stepping on their toes if it sounded like we'd give them this information. Maybe it came from people who were working in the hotel or witnesses outside of the hotel.
An anonymous source, of course.
Anonymous sources,
yes.
Yeah. That kind of thing.
They never said we shouldn't talk to people about it, did they?
Well, I know you haven't had as many interactions with the police as I have.
I have a suggestion. Perhaps if did you give your name, Sam? I can't remember if you gave.
I think I would have out of politeness, but
Mrs. Farwell. Perhaps if you tell me what happened at the scene, and then perhaps somebody else gives me a quote about Mr. Elias, then one anonymous source gave me information about the scene, and a friend of Mr. Elias had this to say about him. Journalistic integrity, we call that.
I'd be happy to put some kind words together for Jackson.
That'd be wonderful. So you were saying three. This is very interesting. As the only person who has ever been identified at the scene before is obviously Mr. Adams. Nobody else has ever been there and lived to tell the tale, as it were.
Yes, well, previously we'd already been a bit worried about our friend. He seemed out of sorts and such, so we went up to check on him. One of my colleagues, well, we ended up gaining access to the room after we heard some strange noises inside and found him, well, on his deathbed, and these 3 men fleeing out the fire escape. There's not much more to tell, really, other than the horrible condition he was in.
I am sorry for your loss, of course. I don't think I said, but I would like to be make sure that you understand that. This obviously, everybody, I suppose, thought that this thing was over. So this is an interesting development to find that it is not, while the person who is awaiting execution for supposedly carrying out the previous murders is still locked up.
Did the guy accused, did he deny it? Did he claim innocence, or
what sort of state of mind does he have?
And what's the day he was born on, Jonny? And what's his building number? And
I didn't really get to speak to him.
I suppose our concern is that this Jackson's murder was to do with his research, and his research was to do with a particular cult. Jonny, did the other articles about the previous murders mention symbols?
Are you asking her about it as well?
I will be if we hadn't, if that wasn't covered in the articles, I would definitely be asking, like, sort of, we saw a particular symbol. We're wondering if that symbol occurred at the previous murders. I suppose the police believe they're related, but
And the general state of the body, presumably similar.
Yeah, she. They would have said in some of them that that it may have been like ritualistic. I don't think they would have gone into too much detail in the articles about exactly what was there. But she, when you discuss this,
I'll even
she goes
like sketch
to
out the symbol if I can, draw it with appropriate clarity.
She goes to a filing cabinet and pulls out a file which is has sort of numbered sections in, and sort of flicks through, and there are photographs, and for each one there is basically the same carving in the forehead.
So it
I don't
wasn't
suppose
a coincidence.
Clearly not. I don't suppose you've seen this symbol anywhere else. Have you, or know anybody else who recognizes it?
I've not, I'm afraid. I've done a small amount of looking into it, as much as I could, aside everything else. But have not managed to find anything.
Do you know why they think this one man was guilty? Was he caught in the act, or some association to the murders?
He was at the scene of the 8th murder.
With blood in his hands, or just present? Do we know?
The details are somewhat murky. Could somebody make a charm roll or something equivalent to see how much information she's willing to give you, essentially?
We could do a persuade roll, I suppose, for a change, because I was the one who asked that, wasn't I? I could fail a persuade roll. Damn it. I'm going to... Can I push it, Jonny?
Oh.
You're going to push it?
Push it to the limit.
Yeah, you can push
This
it.
is a moment I would definitely, in character, push it. It's probably a terrible idea.
Or you could spend luck.
I can't spend 30 luck.
No. No, you can't.
I mean, technically you can. It's
so
just
close.
a
Can.
so close, but
over 40.
on the wrong side. Oh dear.
And I can't spend luck on that one. I failed my push roll. Sorry, folks.
Okay.
We got some information from it.
So let's say she was sort of... you could tell that she was thinking about whether to share some information with you. And you kind of tried to nudge her along in that direction. But actually, it's now had kind of the opposite effect, and she's become a little more frosty towards you.
It's very Mrs. Farwell, I think, so that makes sense.
But she says, look, I am quite busy, but I will be at the funeral tomorrow, so perhaps we can chat more then.
Sensing that I've slightly annoyed her, I will get up to leave first.
Well, thank you for your time.
Of course.
Yeah.
If you still want a quote about Jackson, I'm happy to provide one.
Yes, that would be good, actually. And she hands you kind of folds her notepad over and hands you that with a pen.
I will write. Jackson Elias was a kind soul and a roguish scholar who dedicated his life to throwing light on the darkest elements of humanity. He was easy to like, a delight to speak with, and a safe man to trust. The world is a colder place without him.
You pass her that back, and she kind of, we'll say that the paper kind of falls back over, and she lifts it up to look, and you can sort of see her soften as she is reading it. And she's stood up out of her chair, and she says, "Sorry, Mrs. Farwell, if I was a little touchy there. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night or the night before, or..."
No, the apology is all mine. I'm still a little on edge myself after what happened.
Yeah. Sorry again. You will have spoken to Lieutenant Poole, I imagine.
Yes, we did.
Did he mention anything about anything else at the precinct?
He didn't seem
He didn't.
surprised.
Not that I recall.
Yeah,
we don't know if
we
he
failed
was
a roll there
surprised
as
by
well.
that. Yeah, we failed a roll.
No, he didn't know.
He intimated that perhaps we would learn more if we kept our eye on the news, I think, but no more than that.
There is a Captain Robson above Lieutenant Poole. My opinion on him is that if I were being kind, I would say he were incompetent. If I were feeling less kind, I may have suspicions about his integrity.
Oh.
Especially when it comes to Hilton Adams. And whether or not he may be guilty of what he has been accused.
I see. Do you... No, I suppose it's probably best not to inquire any further. But thank you for telling us that.
Go on, John.
I have a question, and this may be my ignorance about the city, but were the other victims in Harlem, have all the victims been African American?
No.
Okay.
Were there any links, obvious links between them? Did anybody discover?
This was a part of the issue with looking into it. So after the first two bodies, there was no definite link made between them. They both had the same symbol, but the police were not looking into it as linked. By the third, they started to link them together, but they weren't really getting anywhere because, as I said, no real ties found between them, different backgrounds, etc. The only thing is that they had all at some point recently visited Harlem, which is hardly noteworthy considering how popular of an area it is. At first, those bodies were found in different precincts, which means that they were kind of being looked into completely separately also. Then it all got transferred to Robson. There still seemed to be very little progress, and then all of a sudden, Hilton's behind bars.
I'm sorry, miss. Sorry, what was the name again, Johnny?
Schoenberg.
I'm sorry, Miss Schoenberg. I must ask, as delicately as I can, would you say this Captain Robson is incompetent in all cases, or just in this one?
I just think off the record, of course. She looks at Ted. I just think he's at least slightly crooked. And perhaps it looks better for him if somebody is arrested for this crime.
I don't suppose you know whether this is Captain Robson and Hilton Adams had past history.
As far as I'm aware, I don't think it's personal.
Just
wrong place, wrong time, perhaps.
well, it's useful to know about. Thank you. Yes, that colours things somewhat.
We shouldn't take any more of a valuable time anyway. Thank you very much. I suppose we'll see you at the funeral tomorrow.
Yes. Yeah.
If you need to get in contact with us before then, of course, I'll tell her where we're staying.
Yeah. Thank you. And thank you for the quote. Anonymous?
No, I'd put my name to that.
And she takes your name.
Well done, John, for restoring neutral relationship with NPC via active roleplay.
Cool. Yeah. Where you headed?
Shall we find a quiet place for a chat, maybe?
We'll pile into the carriage.
Oh, that coffee shop looks rather nice over there. I could go for a drink and maybe a cake. I haven't eaten much today.
You're mid-afternoon now, so you probably do want a mid-afternoon boost.
You really have developed a taste for coffee, haven't you, Miss Fowler?
I really have. I must admit, I don't know how I'm going to cope when I go back to London. I suppose we'll have to get ourselves one of those posh new sets, or get the servants to learn it. Yeah, we probably have like one lady who comes in once a week to clean the place. Otherwise, it's...
Cool. Right. Well, that was exciting. In some ways, I think it'd be better if we just said that Elias was a kook who didn't write anything worth reading. I feel almost like it's better if no one looks into him and no one looks into what he worked on. It's not good to know these things.
Yeah, assuming we're like settled in the coffee shop now, we're like, I do agree to a certain extent, as much as I want to respect and honor all of his past writings. I don't think that's very fair on him, but I do want to think about how we keep ourselves safe, and we should consider how we conduct ourselves, what we talk about with most everyone else, I think, from here on in, given it looks like Elias's connection to what we're currently investigating got him killed.
I think I understand the sentiment of protecting ourselves and the people we speak to, but I'm not sure about sullying Jackson's name. He wrote those books in order to warn people of the horrible things these cults are doing. I would view them as necessary lessons.
I agree. I don't think we need to make comment about any of his past writings other than the positive. What we should focus on now is not drawing a connection between Elias's work and what happened to him. I think that's the most important thing. No one else knows about what he was working on other than his publisher and ourselves.
It was nice words.
Thank you.
I find myself tearing up a little. Wait, no, we didn't read it out, did you?
Yeah,
Did you?
I did. Wait.
Okay, yeah.
No, I didn't.
No, so I
It's
didn't.
good.
We were just looking over your shoulder.
Yeah, why not? Maybe you told us. Something's the gist of it. Yeah.
Well, now we have an additional concern. If it is possible that Hilton Adams is innocent,
Yeah.
then surely we are bound to...
No.
We don't have so much power on that front, I'm afraid, Mr. Price.
No,
I know
that's
you're a legal professional, but this
what
is a different country.
what I'm worried about, that if this Captain Robson has, you know, if there's a guy who's, you know, awaiting execution, and Captain Robson's found out that he might be innocent and that he might have done something wrong, I would be looking to close that loop as quickly as possible. It's easier.
Well, to be fair, I suppose it's. I mean, we believe that the cult, the bloody tongue, is involved. Who's to say how many members it has? Perhaps Hilton Adams is a member,
Sure.
but perhaps he's not.
If he is, he's worth talking to. And if he's not, maybe he saw something.
Either way. But I don't know how we could possibly access him. And if we do even consider trying to proclaim his innocence, if there's any evidence, if there is certain evidence that that's true, then we're doubly connecting ourselves to this. And I fear that would be a very dangerous thing to do.
I don't care whether he's, you know, like we kind of we may not be able to impact what happens to him. We might be able to, we might not, but he has information. It's good to know the information.
suppose the simplest sense if we manage to catch the real killers, but that seems like a long shot.
I mean, even if we do, as Price has pointed out, that doesn't mean that he's cleared.
Well, perhaps we can. Jonny, what was it? Lieutenant Poole? Lieutenant
Yes.
Poole? Perhaps this Poole fellow, perhaps, depending on his working relationship with Robson, if Poole believes that he can make some progress in his career, perhaps.
That's true.
It would be a delicate subject, certainly, but...
I agree. If we have some hard evidence to provide Poole, that might be a good idea, but I would still be very concerned if we were the ones to provide it, that Robson potentially being, well, corrupt would notice that we're looking into this and decide that perhaps something needs to happen to us.
Well, I want to go to Sing Sing anyway, and at least see if we can arrange to see the guy.
Under what pretext? How would we?
I'm a long lost relative from England.
Are you talking about going in disguise now, husband?
I could be related to him. What are they going to do?
No problem.
Ask for my birth certificate? Like,
Well, our records are already down in at that station. I suppose they might not have talked to each other by now, but
Mr. Fowler's
James
right,
is a-
though. There's no legitimate reason. If he's receiving visitors, why any of us couldn't see him?
and if he's not receiving visitors, then he's not. And we break him
just
out.
don't want our names to go on record doing further things. So I think at least don't give your real name if you do that.
They'll probably ask for some kind of identification. Like, they can tell I'm English, I suppose, and they'll probably want, I don't know,
There's only 4
immigration documentation or
We'll
something.
be okay.
But there's not that much ID, I suppose. So I suppose maybe I will be able to get away with giving a false name. I don't know. What do I think, Jonny? What does 1920s or something Farwell think about the chances of being able to lie their way into the situation?
Make
a criminal enterprise check.
How open are they to bribes?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, that's a good easy way of doing it. You know, a law check.
It's almost a sleight of handy thing, isn't it?
I mean,
no, not for what I want. In fact, let's say that Edwin can also chip in. Steve, if you make a law roll for me, you can both make a law roll.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'll let Edwin
5% law roll
because you're having a conversation. So
yeah.
I rolled 77. I'm going to spend 2 points of luck to hit 75, which is my law.
Okay. Well, I say I haven't got a clue whether I'd be able to get in or not. What do you think, Mr. Price?
Steve, Edwin thinks that theoretically there would be no problem but Hilton Adams would also have a say on whether he was interested in seeing, and he may have had a load of reporters coming and bothering him, all this kind of stuff. So that may be a bigger stumbling block actually than the establishment letting you go.
That's true.
You could call yourself something like Mr. Tongue.
Mr. Tongue. I'm going to leave that whole thing
Brian.
No, B tongue.
Yeah.
Precisely.
I could
Oh
do
my
that.
God.
I could do that, couldn't I?
I mean, you could doodle a design on a napkin, but that's known.
The bloody tongue.
Wow.
Yeah. No. Let's.
We're going to get ourselves killed, aren't we? This is how it's going to end.
Yeah. No. Cool. Well, that is. What I
Hug
wanna
in
do.
New York.
Anyone who wants to come with me can do so, but I'm happy to go alone.
I was thinking, mate, if they probably don't know about the news story about another murder, so potentially they would be interested to learn that.
That's a good point.
That's the only thing I can think of in terms of tipping, other than the bee tongue pseudonym.
Oh yeah, no, and that's a winner. But like,
Yeah.
just in case that doesn't work.
Mr. Price, there's always the option of offering yourself as a representative if he hasn't had one already, if you wanted to.
I think at this stage in the game, it's probably
Yeah.
he's probably gone through the various.
Oh yes, you're right. That's probably true. I thought about that. I suppose someone on Hangman's Row isn't really.
Perhaps spiritual counsel.
I mean, sure.
Suppose.
Look, well, I'm going to wing it mostly. So if anyone, as I said, I'm going to head over there after lunch, and that's my plan.
I will say it's not awfully common for reporters to work as a husband and wife couple.
Oh, gosh, you're going to make me go into this awful place, aren't you?
I'm not going to make you do anything. I don't.
Mr. Martin.
Just a suggestion, Mrs. Farwell. I'm not suggesting you do anything you're uncomfortable with.
Well, part of me wants to keep an eye on Wilfred, but
I never get into trouble when I'm on my own. Yeah.
I don't think it would be a very seemly place for a lady, I must admit.
Well, that's settled then. I will see you all later.
I think
Let's accompany you then.
I think Corporal Shane would go with you.
That seems fair. That seems very likely.
And Ted may also go with you.
Excellent. Well, then I'm well accompanied.
So I can take photographs of you being arrested for
the
something.
scrapbook. Oh, he's got a thumbstick.
What are the rest of you doing? Because it's a bit of a way. You would go on the train,
Okay,
cool. And it would take you about an hour and a half to get there on the train.
Sure.
I would join them on the train, but not planning on going to the place itself. Or not planning on going in the place itself.
Okay. Merritt and Edwin?
Do you have any thoughts, Mr. Price? I feel at some point perhaps a follow-up conversation with Lieutenant Poole would be in order, but not until we've spoken to Adams.
Yes, I don't think there's much more we can do immediately. There might well be people who turn up at the funeral tomorrow that colleagues or acquaintances of Jackson that we might be able to talk to. I just wish we knew more about these previous murders or the cult, but I don't know where we'd go to.
I was wondering whether returning to the hotel and asking after Jackson would bear any fruit. Did he go out much? Did anyone visit him other than us?
I do wonder how. Yes, I do wonder how they found him. How long had he been staying there, and how did they learn that he was there in the first place? That is a.
Was he even booked under his real name?
He wasn't. No.
And on that topic, we know that many of these people went well, all these people at least went to Harlem. I don't know if they were all actually murdered there, but can we find out if Jackson went to Harlem as well? And what, if there's any indication of what place they all went to or who they saw? I don't know how one would go finding that out, but
Is this before we've left, so I can still participate in the conversation?
yeah, presumably we're still in the cafe now.
I would say, like, it seems to me that maybe this bloody hand has a little safe spot in Harlem somewhere that they might work out of.
I would just say as well, all the other murders took place in Harlem. Jackson's didn't, so it bucks the trend in that sense.
Unless he'd been there to get information.
Where Jackson went exactly. If we find out if he did go to, I don't know how we might find that out, but
Well, certainly returning to the Hotel Chelsea. Yes. Yes, asking the hotel staff might yield some clues, maybe.
we often book carriages or what's the new word for them? Taxis from hotels. Perhaps they will know the company that he used or the individuals that he used, and we could talk to them about his travels if he did travel. He wasn't on foot. That might yield some information.
We'll see if we can get anyone to talk to us at least.
You say it was a little way on the train, Mr. Farwell? Or Wilfred?
So I hear.
So we'll see you back at the hotel, perhaps later this evening, I suppose.
I mean, if you don't, I'm probably in prison.
Well, maybe we'll be able to speak to Mr. Adams there.
That's my backup plan.
Yes, call a hotel if you need legal representation.
Okay, so let's say that you part from each other just before 3 p.m. So, Steve and John, what's your plan? You're going to the Hotel Chelsea?
Yes.
Okay.
So yes, I guess we'd be like questions to ask various people, like from hotel staff to yes, maybe like workers in the kitchen, or if there are people selling papers or whatever outside, taxi ranks, just kind of, yes, I guess finding a bunch of people and well, the hotel staff, we'd be asking the hotel staff about Mr. Elias under a pseudonym and trying to get them to tell us how long he'd been there, and also whether anybody else had been asking about him prior to us, because we're fine. We didn't do it.
We didn't.
Okay.
We didn't
It was
do it.
a strange man who insisted for hours on getting up to his room and wouldn't stop talking about it.
Can you please give me, as long as you can make a case for it, sort of your choice of charisma or conversational skill?
Or credit rating if you want to bribe someone.
I'm a freelance academic, so I will not be doing credit rating. I will be going for persuade.
Okay. Well, I have fast talk, so maybe it's intimating to the hotel staff that perhaps they might be liable if murderers come up the fire escape. How is their insurance?
Not backfire at all.
Or I rolled a 4.
Nice.
That is an extreme success.
Well, I rolled a 53, which is under my fast talk of 55, so I scrape it.
And John, sorry, you went with persuade, did you say? Was it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Are each of you focusing on like different things? Is one of you going more for the hotel staff and the other kind of scoping out outside?
I think Steve sounded like he had a pretty good tactic with the hotel staff.
Okay.
So I'll be asking around outside.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Steve, Edwin goes in, chat to the staff, and as you start kind of flinging legal jargon at them, I think they also probably know that you are one of the people who knew him, and maybe you are his solicitor, and perhaps they're liable for the murder. All these kinds of things. This very junior member of staff on the reception desk. And
I'll probably say
see
habeas corpus at some point. I don't know what it means. But
you see the cheeks start to flush, and maybe the eyes are getting a little sparkly. And says like flips open this big book, and says he was here from the 13th, just 2 days before, and he I think maybe paid some money to the manager to be able to use a back door if he wanted. Something about investigations, and so yeah. Do you need any more so that we want to be cooperative? Of course.
Well, I might need to speak to the manager to cover some of these details. But yes, did anybody else contact him during that time?
No, he asked to use the phone yesterday.
Was that in the morning? Was that in the morning to talk to us? Can I say, the time that?
Yes, I think that sounds about right. We keep a note of calls, and gets the page and hands it over. And I think you would probably know that it was or you could definitely check, and it is the number for your hotel.
And okay.
But no other visits. I don't think. But if they came in the back, then we couldn't say for definite. I don't think.
Okay. Thank you. Then, yes, perhaps I might need to have a word with the manager. Can you possibly provide contact details or arrange an appointment?
He is on shift this evening, and I can leave a note that you would like to speak to him.
Thank you.
Or if you come back after 7, then he should be here.
I shall thank them and then, yes, depart.
John, so you kind of ask around, you're trudging through the snow outside and meeting different people. And basically you get a bit of a picture that he'd been kind of in and out, but mostly in. So people had seen him leaving in no particular direction. It wasn't like he was going the same way every single time. He would pop out and get, a pastry from across the street kind of thing. So certainly, at least when he first arrived, you don't get the impression that he was terrified about anything at that point. But yeah, no, like I said, nothing solid on like he was always here, going here or here. So no sort of leads on that point. Is there anything else that you kind of wanted to see if you could glean from that.
Do I pick up from the people that I'm talking to that he was using the back door?
A combination of both. And you rolled very well. So we'll say that later on he was using the back more. Certainly to come out and perhaps going back in the front.
Okay. Were there anyone else unusual using the back door?
No. Not that anybody, no, as much as you rolled very well, like nobody sat watching to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't like, so somebody noticed that that he, we'll say the newspaper stand like near the front door had noticed him coming in having not left, essentially. So
Right.
that's and well, when you speak to Edwin, you would piece together that is because he'd been using the back door.
I guess I'll do a general ask around of, has anyone else been asking these kinds of questions? Say yesterday or earlier? Like, has anyone been asking after him?
Other than the weird lawyer.
Other than the weird British lawyer.
It's him. Get him.
No, nobody seems
Okay.
to have been.
Can't think of much else to ask, no.
Okay.
I mean, the next stage is drawing the symbol on a billboard with a note saying, "Has anybody seen this?" But that would probably not end well.
Please call 555.
Yes. Staying
yeah.
at room number such and such.
We will be asleep between 11 p.m.
Doors unlocked.
Okay, let's cut to the Farwells. So you arrive at Sing Sing, having been on a reasonably okay train journey. I'm presuming you booked first class.
What I do not spend like Mrs. Farwell spends. I don't know where this idea.
No, but Mrs. Farwell's going with you on the
I don't
train.
even, I mean, like,
First class.
we don't. Why are we traveling? Like, what the hell is this about?
If you're buying for me, I would assume you would buy me first class.
Fine.
Nicely.
So you arrive outside the walls, and there is a sort of, what's the word? Like a little kind of, shed thing that somebody sits in just inside the gate.
Look at like a cabin.
Yes, that's the word.
A log cabin.
Yeah, and they step out as they see you approaching, and says, "How can I help you?"
I'm going to hand my big heavy bag to Mrs. Farwell, and just
There'll be someone
explain
nearby.
that I'm here to visit a prisoner if possible.
We don't have a note of anybody expected.
No, I've been travelling. I'm from England. I've not been able to call ahead.
Okay. Look, I'm afraid that visiting hours are over, sir, for the day.
For the day. What time do
I
I?
get the impression this man is bribable, Johnny.
Yeah.
You can
This
make a
sounds like a bribe.
psychology roll and see if you think he's bribable before then attempting to bribe him, if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, that sounds. Yeah. Oh, I could.
When
fail
are these
the
visiting
psychology roll.
hours?
Even though my psychology's 17, still fail.
You failed.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely bribable.
When are these visiting hours?
I'm going to follow through, obviously. But Justin is asking the question first.
When are these visiting hours?
10 till 4, sir. But you need to get in touch ahead.
Well, can I do that now? I'm getting in touch now.
I think at this point, Mrs. Farwell is getting notes out of her pocket.
Just like no, Wolverine's going to try and be as reasonable as possible. But that's is there a form I can fill out or something? Like I'm already here. I don't mind. I can come back in 2 days, but
he gets like a sort of pre-lined and sectioned pad. Name.
Yeah, that's a good question. What was the name of the what was the name of the guy I'm visiting? I haven't written it down here because I'm
Hilton Adams.
Adams. Oh, well, then I'm going to say I'll be. It's W Adams.
W Adams. Real cute.
This makes me so tense.
Prisoner.
That's my family member. Sorry, I've already
Hilton Adams.
Hilton Adams. Yeah. He's a cousin.
Oh. Okay. And when would you like to visit?
In 2 days.
2 days. 18th. And do you have a place we can contact to confirm? Telegramming address or telephone number?
Yeah, I can give the number to like. Do I have a room number, like a number of my actual room at the hotel, or?
Yeah, you'd have that. And you could. I'd say you could have a business card, so you've got the phone number of the hotel with you.
Sure, yeah. Not my business card, Steve.
Not a business card with a different name on it.
Yeah. All right, Mr. W. Adams. We will check with the inmate and confirm with you tomorrow.
Well, it was nice.
You have a good night now. And he goes and closes his cabin door.
Don't think we could have got access.
Smash cut to the Farwells climbing over the wall.
Well, I didn't bring that welding torch for nothing. Yeah, no, I mean, well, that's a shame.
I suppose I'll have to wait. They best not hang him before then.
Let's hope.
That'd be awkward.
What sort of this is like a walled prison, right? What sort of part of I'm guessing this is a rougher looking part of the city. Or 2 hours it's kind of out of the city almost.
You're on the bay actually.
Mm-hmm.
So behind the facility is water, basically. And yeah, it's just kind of like semi-industrial around it, but still a lot of green space. Like it's really not, as bad as you could imagine it being.
Mm-hmm. Okay. If it were earlier in the day, I'd be tempted to have a walk, but it's probably sunset now, isn't it?
That's the perfect time to go for a
yes.
walk at the beach. But we should get home.
We should. They'll probably be worried. Yes, let's get back.
Cool. That is a good point to call it a day. So you will reconvene at about 7 p.m. So yeah, have a think about what you want to discuss for next time. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody who's tuned in. And let's do promo things. So below the stream are links to our social media, Discord, other streaming platforms, and our Patreon. So check those out. Every other Wednesday for the time being, Simba Room. So it is not on this week, but is on next week. And on the 6th of March, the Yellow King returns, and then it is on again on the 3rd of April. And keep an eye out for a one-shot on the weekend in March. Join us on the Discord is the best place to get all of that info up to date. Any questions or comments, put them in the chat. Should have said that first. You had time to do it while I was rambling. But John, anything to discuss from the chat also?
We have a follow from Svenor, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
I also liked this absolute wisdom from Blood.
He might have been bribable, but if the way I see it, if you have a mild bias to what you want the outcome of that role to be, then if you fail, that is the answer that you come up with. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
maybe you'd have tried to bribe him and it would be fine. But my point is just that you were 100% certain that he was bribable.
I still suspect Wilfred saved me then. I must admit. Also, I've had some bad rolls this session.
I mean, I think it went as well as it could have gone.
Yeah.
I'm sure that Jonny will kill the character off before we next get a chance to visit him. But
Who, the guard?
no.
Found with a symbol carved in his forehead.
The next guy will be like, yeah, just let anyone in. Whatever.
I did also like this from Steve.
Oh no, I dropped this $100 bill and I'm from England, so I have no idea how much it's worth. Very good.
And it's another one for 4242, but it gave me such a reaction. I have to share it with everyone.
Sure the investigators can give the bloody tongue a licking. Very good. Complete with emoji, which is very fitting. Excellent, thank you.
I would just like to say I'd usually save this for the the end of the stream chat, but I think I have revealed on stream that I'm doing this. Like I'm drawing a random tarot card thing online on a thing every day, every session. This session's tarot card was genuinely the Hanged Man. Amazing.
Wow!
I don't know how many. But I'm just like.
Do you let Jonny know these in advance, or?
No, I drew it halfway through the session.
Right. Perhaps you should draw them at the start and tell Jonny secretly. So
usually I do. Sort of influences my play, but it didn't do too much this time. But yeah, I was just like weird.
I have to ask Jonny how you're finding running Masks with us and our random questions.
It's mostly fine. There are times when I think that you're going to go down a way that I haven't yet looked at properly because of whatever reason. And I kind of hurriedly, but you haven't yet actually gone away that's like a million miles away from anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
We just keep threatening to.
Yeah.
It's good because I don't think that's been too obvious as well. I haven't felt like you've gone, don't look at that, players, to me particularly. So you've done well at hiding that.
Yeah, good. It's just such a big thing, and you without sort of pulling back the curtain too much, you have things that are pointing you in a lot of very different directions. If you think about like the clues that you have, and there's no way that you can hold all of that inside your brain. And like, I'm kind of sandboxing bits that are like where I think you will go.
Like if we decided to get on a boat today to Shanghai, that would change things a little bit.
Yeah, but we could have like 30 sessions or so of you being on the boat, so that would be probably all right. Roll for polo. No.
I kind of feel like we just need to get all the things done in New York that we can get done in New York, then leave.
Well, it would certainly cut down on travel costs.
Well, I think that part of the thing that makes it slightly easier, it being in the 1920s than if it were present day, is that there's a lot of time sink for your characters if you travel somewhere. So you're not going to lightly go somewhere that's going to take you 2 weeks to travel there, whereas it would, it might take you 10 hours now, or something like that.
Even more reason why modern day particularly proper modern day rather than like 90s Eldritch is really hard.
Which is why I just chuck everyone into space when I do anything that's present day,
Makes sense. Yeah.
because then you're still kind of a little bit stuck for things. Yeah, cool. Thanks, everybody. And we should be all go for next week. So, and then dates. Yeah, after next week, there's a little break while I go away and do things like just real life, boring. So, yeah, come back next week to see whether Mr. Farwell gets in prison in a good way or a bad way.
The funeral, that's the main thing next week.
Of Hilton Adams. Anyway, bye.